Throughout this crash course, you will learn the different aspects that went into creating Frankenstein by Mary Shelley and what influenced her to write her book. You will learn the theme, the different artistic aspects, and the historical context of her writing.
The natural world embraced by Romanticism in the late 18th century is evident throughout the novel. After being hindered in depression and sorrow for feeling the weight of responsibility after the deaths of William and Justine, the murder victim of the monster and the accused, Frankenstein heads to the mountains to lift his spirits. The influence of nature on mood is evident throughout the novel, but for Victor, the natural world's power to console him diminishes when he realizes that the monster will haunt him no matter where he goes. By the end, as Victor chases the monster obsessively, nature in form of Arctic desert shadows his original struggle against the monster's power. The natural world and the mood of the book was greatly embraced by Romanticism after the Enlightenment ideals failed the scientists and society in the first half of the novel. Ultimately, the scientist resorts to nature and its effects to find comfort. The monster tries to fit into a regular community, but if he is different than the average person, he can never assimilate into mainstream society. The monster's response to overcompensate for his lack of learning and then shun all human contact except when necessary, which goes back to the romantic ideals of nature over science. Shelley is attempting to show the readers how many people in conventional society experience xenophobia, the fear of the unknown and different. The author showed the ideals of Romanticism and that every life should be valued, appreciated through the monster who struggles living in a normal society. Dr. Frankenstein realizes after he made the monster that his ambitions to explore the unknown has corrupted society. The novel was partially romantic and it showed the harsh outcomes of Enlightenment ideals because they were based on advancements and not the value of society and human life. We have here a poem by William Wordsworth. In spite of difference of soil and climate, of language and manners, of laws and customs, in spite of the things silently gone out of mind and things violently destroyed, the poet binds together by passion and knowledge the vast empire of human society, as it spreads over the whole earth and over all time. The objects of the poet's thoughts are everywhere, through the eyes and senses of man. It is true, his favorite guides, yet he will follow wheresoever he can find an atmosphere of sensation in which to move his wings. Poetry is the first and last of all knowledge. It is immortal as the heart of a man. So this poem relates to our book because Frankenstein has many sensory details that are very specific to nature and all things that are beautiful in society. William Wordsworth was a major English romantic poet who helped launch the Romantic Age. Let's go to Lojine and learn more about the theme of the book, Frankenstein.
The theme of Frankenstein in the novel is the dangers of knowledge.
Delivery for Lojine.
Oh, thank you. So you can see the transformation of the scientist through the before quote of the ancient teachers of this science. He promised impossibilities and performed nothing. The modern masters promise very little. They know that metals cannot be transmuted and that the elixir of life is a chimera, but these philosophers, whose hands seem only made to dabble in dirt and their eyes to pore over the microscopic or cubical, have indeed performed miracles. They penetrate into the recesses of nature and show how she works in her hiding places. They ascend into the heavens. They have discovered how the blood circulates and the nature of the air we breathe. We have acquired new and almost unlimited powers. They can command the thunders of heaven, mimic the earthquake, and even mock the invisible world with its own shadow. After, the scientist transforms and says, I cannot pretend to describe what I then felt. I had before experienced sensations of horror, and I have endeavored to bestow upon them adequate expressions, but words cannot convey an idea of the heart-sickening despair that I then endured. Frankenstein begins his scientific journey hopeful about the endless possibilities of science. Examples of blood circulation and the discovery of air trigger an emotional response with the reader because those discoveries are the reason we are all alive. However, as the novel progresses, the one thing he believed in the most, science, was the one thing that led to his downfall. After creating the monster, Frankenstein abandons him soon after, for he cannot take care of him. Wandering loose, the monster murders an acquaintance of Victor's brother by strangulation. Justine Maurice, their housekeeper, is falsely accused of the murder of William, the brother. Being the only person to know the true criminal in the murder, Frankenstein is overridden by guilt as his creation has taken control over itself and now cannot be stopped. He has lost all power against his creation and is now a puppet being strung by the monster. Dr. Frankenstein created a monster in his basement through the scientific knowledge he has gained and is now overpowered by the dangers of his knowledge. Let's look at what else we got here. Light bulbs represent knowledge and constant new ideas. However, the light bulb is engulfed by fire, which symbolizes creation and destruction. Science has the possibility to engulf in a fire by the same ideas that ultimately create that light bulb effect, as it did with Dr. Frankenstein.
Mary Shelley styles Romanticism. which was started in the early 1800s. Romanticism is the emphasis on imagination and emotions and the appreciation of nature. Her husband Percy was a leader in the Romantic literary movement, which led to Mary adopting a style, which was shown in Frankenstein when Victor was going on a walk. He stated, quote, "The weight upon my spirit was sensibly lightened, as I plunged it deeper in the ravine of Arve. The immense mountains and precipitals that overhung me on every side, the sound of the river raging among the rocks, and the dashing of the waterfalls, spoke around me with the power mighty as omnipotence. And I ceased to fear or to bend before any being less almighty than that which had created, ruled the elements, here displayed in the most terrific guise." End quote. Mary Shelley's style was shown in this passage when she describes the walk to the forest as a spiritual experience, which was that of the Romantic period was all about. She also used personification when she described the dashing of the waterfalls around, spoke of a power mighty. Her purpose in writing this way was to connect God to nature, which was the purpose of Romanticism. She was very good with her sensory details when she described the immense mountains and precipitals that overhung me. You can easily picture the moss-covered mountains overhanging the trail that Victor's walking on. She also connected nature to God when Victor said, "I cease to fear or bend before any being less almighty than that which he had created or ruled." Mary Shelley's style is shown in this painting. It is called Ophelia. It was painted in 1852 by John Everett Mills. Ophelia was a heroine made by Shakespeare. This painting is portraying the drowning of Ophelia. The light brushstrokes and close ties to death connect this to Romantic period and to Mary Shelley's novel Frankenstein.
Thank you for watching our crash course. I hope you learned a lot about Mary Shelley and Frankenstein.